Hey guys, my webcam keeps freezing up, so I keep having to redo it. I'm sure it's gonna do it again, but it doesn't matter. I just want to put my content out there. That's what matters most to me as I'm freezing up. So I wanted to say that I just posted my interview with the ex-Paladoc on my channel. It was about MGTOW. It was an hour and a half long, my longest interview yet. And honestly, guys, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I think that a lot of women can benefit from learning about MGTOW. I agree with a lot of the main ideologies actually in the group. I know I can't be a part of MGTOW since I'm a woman, so by default, that's not going to work. But it did open my mind and it made me more introspective. It made me get in my head, assess myself, and see what I can work on to be a better member of society, because I do feel like a lot of men are mistreated. I know a lot of women are put in the spotlight and they're the ones that are focused on, but a lot of men are really mistreated. They can get screwed over by the system. I do understand and I do empathize with that. So if you guys are interested, go check it out. I thought it was a really eye-opening experience for me, so I wanted to put that out there. But today on the topic of introspection, that is basically when you go inside your head, you self-analyze, you look at yourself, your critical thinking, you look at your emotional sensitivities, you get in your head and you essentially live there for a little bit. And I wanted to talk today about the pros and the cons of introspection. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the cons of it. And if any of you guys want to add to the discussion, as always, feel free to comment down below. I think the main con with introspection is it can, especially if you're already an introverted person like myself, it can kind of trap you inside your own head and your own ideologies. And it kind of can take you prisoner, because then it can make you more self-conscious. The more you're in your head, the more you're worrying about how you are as a person, the more it can make you vulnerable in that respect. So for in the context of social anxiety, for example, it used to be that I would go and I would speak to somebody and I would just be living inside my own head. I wouldn't even be thinking about what they're saying, how the interaction goes, which may be regarded as selfish to some people, but for myself, I was just so anxious that the only thing I could think to do was go in my own head, and I'd be thinking, is what I'm saying the right thing? Did I mess something up? Are my mannerisms really strange? What do they think of me? And I would just be going in my own head, thinking about my own emotions and just cycling through it. And so that's when it can start to get really dangerous. Now what I'm learning as a coping technique for social anxiety is to focus on the other person, to take the focus off myself and think, what are they saying? What are they telling me about their life? And kind of focus in on that. Because the more you do that, the more you take the spotlight off of yourself and the less you feel self-conscious in that situation. So for example, now I'm trying to convey my message rather than worry about my webcam, which I can see in my peripheral is clearly freezing up. But next, on to the next thing. So I think introspection can be really good, because I think the more that you understand yourself and the way you think and your emotional nature and the way you react to things, the better you can adapt to your situation. So I had just done a vlog recently on adaptation, and I think that's a very important connection to be made here. I think that if you understand yourself and the way you act, you can adapt to your situations in a much better way than if you don't have that direct connection to yourself. And I feel like a lot of people that do deal with mental health issues could really benefit from being introspective, because sometimes, I will react a certain way and then I'll go inside my head and be like, why did I act so impulsively, or why did I get on the defensive like that? And I won't be necessarily hard on myself, but I'll stop and I think, why did I do that? And is there a way that I could possibly, interact in a different way next time? And I try and change myself for the better, because I feel like if you're introspective, you can start to slowly shift your personality more towards how you want to be. Because I will be honest, guys, I like the fact that I'm an emotional person. I like the fact that I'm an honest person, that I make myself vulnerable, that I put myself out there. But sometimes I wish that I was more logical. And honestly, my science background is helping me a lot. I've learned a lot in science about objectivity and scientific thinking, and I'm trying to kind of push myself a little more on that side of the spectrum. Now, if I'm a person that's not very judgmental, which I am not, I think everyone does judge to a certain extent, but I'm not very far along the spectrum. I don't think I could go from someone who is just not very judgmental to someone who's very critical of other people and a little bit less empathetic, let's say. I don't think I'd ever make that shift in my personality, nor would I want to, for that matter. But I think I can push myself more towards what I do want. So for example, instead of being very impulsive, extremely emotionally based, I think as a woman and as someone who deals with mental illness, those odds are kind of not in my favor. It does make me more emotional. I am well aware of that. But I can stop and I can think logically. So I wanted to express also that when I do rant videos on my channel, that is really my therapy, guys. That's me acting impulsively in the moment, letting out my emotions. And I feel like when I do that, it's like, it is such a release for me. It's a way to just get all those emotions out and then think logically through the situation. Now, it does not mean I'm that volatile in daily life. I'm not going off on people and yelling at them and being extremely impulsive like that. I am not that kind of person, but it does give me that release so that I am able to think a little more objectively. And my goal is to hopefully bring down that reaction, and at least be more respectful in that way and not always be so out there. Because I've noticed, obviously, in my street harassment rant, which I would say was taken a little bit out of context. It's like I was seen as, highly emotional, and that I thought men objectified women and all that, and I really don't want to bring all of this topic back. I really actually hate controversy. I've been pushing myself so much on my channel recently, but I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing for my psyche. But anyways, yeah, I've been pushing myself and expressing myself like that. But I want you guys to understand that that rant was just me in that moment, being introverted, being anxious, being depressive, self-conscious, and how I would react in that situation. It doesn't mean that that's how I feel as a whole about the topic, because that's why I did a follow-up, which got, I would say, quite a bit better feedback than the original rant. So I just wanted to say that I am introspective, but I use it as much as I can to my advantage. Instead of going in my head and getting stuck there and not being able to further an interaction with somebody, what I do instead is I get in my head, I see how I react to things, and then I try and work on myself, because I do think that humans are adaptable. I think that they can evolve over time, but it does take work and effort. Because let's say you're a person that has very negative ruminating thoughts in their mind, like a lot of people do with depression. It is so hard to get out of that, because you literally have carved that neuronal pathway in your mind, and you're going around and around. And to change that thought process, you can do it. Honestly, almost anything you do in life can change something in your brain. The brain is very plastic in that way. But it does take work when you've carved out this groove in your mind where you're always thinking negatively. To change that for something positive, it's possible, but that's why you have to learn what you're doing, identify it, and slowly work on it. So I hope this topic interested you, my precious gems. If you want to contribute, please feel free. If you can relate to me, please give me a thumbs up, and I will talk to you all soon, my precious gems. Bye, everyone.